guys, Hikaru here. So here's the story on how Hydreigon became my most viable Spice lead and pretty much the MVP of how I broke Master League in Season 1 for Go Battle League. So it all started out in Voyager Cup. Literally, it started out I was thinking about how Umbreon pretty much just walls Haunter. Now, what else is Ghost in Master League? Giratina Origins. We all hate this thing. It was the bane of our existence in Season 1. So I was thinking to myself, I was like, alright, so it's a Ghost Dragon, Haunter is Ghost, and Umbreon is Dark. What is also a Dark type in Master League? Now, I thought about a lot of things. I thought about Weavile, I thought about Darkrai, and then I figured out that, like, neither of these work. The reason why Darkrai doesn't work is because it's too squishy, and the reason why Weavile doesn't work is it's also really squishy too. Either way, in pretty much, long story short, the only way you're going to win with a Weavile against even a Dialga is if you somehow bait their shields. That's what Weavile is. In any other aspect, with the double steel prominence in BBML in Master League, it's really hard to find any way around having or justification to see Weavile just because it's too squishy. Same thing with Darkrai. Darkrai won't live for very long. If you don't have any shields, there's not a lot of instances where you will get the Focus Blast. And even though Dark Pulse is very spammy, it's squishy. In basic words, neither of these two actually live long enough to be effective. So then I thought about Hydreigon. I was like, Zweilous saw heavy usage in Voyager Cup. So I was like, maybe Dark Dragon is the answer. Because Dragon walls Kyogre Surfs because of the Dragon type, and then you have the Dark typing which walls Shadows, and it also walls Lick from Snorlax, and it also walls Shadow Ball. It walls Psystrikes. It walls a lot of things in the Master League meta, and I was like, can Hydreigon somehow live bulk-wise to where it actually can tank a majority of these charge moves? In other words, it just goes back to what I've done before, and that's essentially use a Pokemon's bulk as a shield. Where in Ultra League, where I used Blissey to tank 7 or 8 charge moves and then just end with a beam, what if I could find that bulk strategy and use it in Master League? And that's how Hydreigon came to an existence. Hydreigon ended up becoming probably one of the things that nobody really looked at other than me or like a very other few people. Because I've seen a few Hydreigons in Master League, very few, but they weren't quite used the way I used them. Usually everyone would think like, okay, you're going to use Hydreigon because it outputs a lot of damage because of Dragon Breath, which it does. And I was like, what if you can use this to essentially wall a bunch of charge moves, and then there you go, you live long enough to where you can tank all these extra moves, and then you can save your shields for other big things, like for example Dialga's Iron Heads, Draco Meteors, or Superpowers, or just anything that Melmetal has to offer, or anything the BBML has to offer for the most part. In other words, you have a lot more chances to survive all these other big hitting moves that would just otherwise just obliterate you or just do heavy damage to anything else. So that's how Hydreigon came into existence. Now here's the analysis with Hydreigon. Hydreigon essentially functions as, like I said, a really bulky kind of Blissey where it can tank a whole bunch of charge moves. Hydreigon can tank Shadow Balls. It can tank the Lick from Snorlax, which does heavy damage, which is why a lot of people hate Snorlax, because Lick still does a lot, especially against Giratina Origins. And it can also tank all of Kyogre Surfs. An interesting thing about Kyogre is that Kyogre will never get to a Blizzard if it's completely matched up against a Hydreigon. There's no scenario where a Kyogre will actually ever get to a Blizzard. You will only be able to use Surf on Hydreigon because it deals so much damage. And that's the analysis with Hydreigon. Hydreigon essentially functions as a shield. Now, the reason why it's so hard to pull off Hydreigon is because you need to know what your opponent has. What I mean by that is that if they have a Giratina Origin, and you don't know that they are running Shadow Ball Ominous Wind, they have Dragon Pulse, you're pretty much done if it lands. Because Dragon Pulse deals heavy damage to Hydreigon, I'll take off a majority of its health, and you don't ever want a Dragon Pulse to land against Hydreigon. And that's the story behind the Hydreigon analysis. Hydreigon can tank a whole bunch of moves, but at the same time, part 2 of Hydreigon analysis is that it can actually deal a pretty decent amount of damage with Dark Pulse, and Flash Cannon actually has an interesting backstory. If you actually have enough energy to throw a Flash Cannon, you can actually KO a Togekiss if it has some damage already dealt to it. A Flash Cannon from Hydreigon to a Togekiss will actually do so much damage that, like I said, if there's some damage done to it, you'll actually KO the Togekiss. So this gives you an out against a Togekiss. Flash Cannon also does a heavy damage against fighters, so if you do end up lining against a fighter at the end too, and you need something big to close out, Flash Cannon from Hydreigon will actually take out, again, some of the fighters as well. So Hydreigon is such a great mon because it wins against a lot of these neutral matchups, like you see. It beats Snorlax, it beats Giratina O, it beats Kyogre, it beats a whole lot of it even beats Metagross and Mewtwo. So in this scenario, always lead with Hydreigon, don't deviate from the game plan. The reason I've done so well with this team is because I've always led with Hydreigon. You're gonna lose the lead, but the next video will explain that with Safe Switch Mewtwo. So here you see I will lead Hydreigon into the Giratina Origins. We win this, my opponent will switch right away into Dialga, as you see, so I counter switch into my Rhyperior. Now all I have to do in this scenario, I will explain this in my Rhyperior video, all you have to do is spend 1 shield, and then you can Mud Slap down. But you have to do this immediately, as fast as you can. As soon as you look on the type right and you see Dragon Steel, switch. Here we farm him down. Now I expect to see Giratina Origins come in. And we're going to have enough energy to do 2 Rock Wreckers. On my first Rock Wrecker, my opponent will either burst a shield, will either break a shield, or will do a huge chunk of damage. In this case, we'll break 1 shield. And then here's my second Rock Wrecker. You will always get 2 Rock Wreckers in this scenario. There's a second Rock Wrecker, we take a huge chunk of damage. So now my opponent either has to 1, try to farm me down, or he's going to switch. In this scenario, I'm just going to use Superpower, burn up all the energy we've gathered for our Rhyperior. He takes a Superpower, we'll switch into Mewtwo. At this point, we have a shield, and we are so dominant that I don't really have to worry about anything. I will shield the Rock Slide just in case. There's my shield. I'm going to use Psystrike. He's either going to let this go or burn his last shield. Either way, I will explain more on my Safe Switch Mewtwo video against the Melmetal matchup. He sends in his Giratina after we take out the Melmetal, and then he's going to take out my Mewtwo with a Shadow Ball. This is fine because your Giratina is so low on health that all I have to do is send in Hydreigon, and all we do is chunk down the Giratina Origins. Make sure you follow this infograph, stay against this, what you see on this infograph, and then Safe Switch into your Mewtwo when you see a Togekiss, Melmetal, or a Dialga. Alright, I'm going to show you one more battle. This is going to showcase Hydreigon's bulk a little more with the ability to not have to shield. This is going to show Kyogre versus Hydreigon. Now I'm going to get my switch window up here. We have the Kyogre lead and expecting a Dialga because we're expecting him to switch out. So here we go. We're just going to do the textbook play. All we're going to do is just shield the Iron Head, and then after that we're just going to farm down with Mud Slaps. We're going to use all that energy for whatever comes in next. Now I'm expecting the Kyogre to come in next because it's going to try and kill the Rhyperior right away. And all we're going to do is just dump this Rock Rider energy that we gathered all into Kyogre. You can double Superpower, but Rock Wrecker is a better option in my opinion just because you can grab a shield or you do heavy damage. Now we're going to have our Hydreigon, send him back in our Hydreigon, and now this is going to be a Surf. There's no way he gets to a Blizzard. If you run the sim, there's no way you get to a Blizzard. If this is a Surf, we take it pretty well, and now we get the Dark Pulse off. This should break his second shield, and then we can expect our opponent to switch out because the switch clock's up now. He does switch out, and we get the Mewtwo into the Snorlax. And you already know what's going to happen. This is why my Mewtwo Safe Switch video is so valuable, because I'm going to tell you just exactly what you should do whenever you see a Snorlax in the back with no shields. Well, it's pretty obvious what you do. All you do is Focus Blast. This is going to one-shot this Snorlax. I should have probably got a little more energy I could have farmed a little bit just so I can get another Psystrike off. That would have ended the game right here. This is where I made a mistake. But it allows me to showcase Hydreigon even better. Because the Surf's going to go off, take out my Mewtwo, and back we send in the Hydreigon. Now, here's what's great. He won't get to another Surf. I actually get to the Dark Pulse before he does. So a little bit of an error this match, but still because of Hydreigon's bulk and that Kyogre being energy dry, there's no way he gets to another Surf, and we take the game. GG's. Now, I hope you tune into the next video, which showcases the Mewtwo Safe Switch. And you guys have a wonderful day. Every challenge alone.